Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost. It is a retelling of the story of Adam and Eve in Genesis. Paradise Lost. It is a retelling of the story of Adam and Eve out of Genesis. Now, what? Why does that matter? Plain and simple. You've got John Milton writing Paradise Lost. Was the eating of the apple from the tree of knowledge of good and evil an elevation of man, or was it the fall of man? Some people would say it's the fall of man. Some people would say it's an elevation. I believe if under the right circumstances, it's the elevation of man. No longer do we need gods above us. No, we are gods amongst men. I think, you think about, speaking of, Paradise Lost, you think, speaking of another name, Hilton, rather than Milton, the author of Shangri-La. The story, basically it's another Horizon Lost, right? Hilton is the author of Horizon Lost, and that's a similar story, but it's this idea that there's this exoteric society surrounding a core. That's what Shangri-La is. It's a place for geniuses in my mind. That's the big secret of these movies. People with IQ scores 150, 160, 170. At the end of the day, no one is going. My dream for humanity is no one out there is going to have to die. Everyone alive today, everyone born in the next, from now on, everyone is going to be promised that they're going to die with at least an IQ score of 170 so that they too can enter the esoteric realm of Shangri-La, so they don't have to die homeless, so they don't have to die with low visual spatial processing skills, so they don't have to die working under a boss, following the directions of a boss at Walmart, so that they can die, and even people in my industry that sell real estate, so that they can die having enough cognitive processing capacity to finally get their master's in business administration and see through the eyes of not even just a regular old licensed broker, but someone that knows it all. They can look at every property everywhere around the world and understand the flow of money, the way that resources are rationed, and what that currency value ascribed, what it all means, that they can see through the veil of reality, that they can literally peer into the murky depths that we are cautioned not to peer into, right? And that really is the secret, is that if you're able to do that, if you have that IQ score to understand the world through those metrics, there's no such thing as the murky depths. Python, for instance, you have NumPy arrays. They're used by incredibly intelligent people in the world of sociology, in the world of psychology, to mull through data sets that have existed for so long, to finally, indeed, peer into the murky depths, learning about what IQ score reveals about certain life outcomes. They're learning about what can be done to remediate cognitive deficiencies, etc. That is my dream. And, we talk about what do we want for the town of Pahrump. Pahrump is paradise some people dream of, and this is my dream too. I'm the one that proposed this idea. I said, hey, let's build somewhere out on the Kellogg area. I don't know, anywhere in town, but let's change zoning laws. Let's create government incentives, since this is something that in the near future we're probably not going to see private industry. I love construction. I love building. I love the trades: welding, carpentry, all of it, 100% of it. Masonry, people that use their hands, people that lay bricks, people that build these homes all around us. I love all of it. I wish I could do it, quite frankly. I wish I could be that builder that I always talk about. So I told let's create an American Dream Way, a street called American Dream Way, where you've got big parcels, sometimes excess of an acre, 2 acres. Let's put AmeriGas distribution. Let's put a Home Depot. Let's put a Lowe's. Let's move the Cashman cat dealership from St. Rose Parkway in Las Vegas. Let's bring it to Pahrump. Let's put it there. Let's bring a cat dealership. Let's put John Deere there. Let's put Ace Hardware. Let's put a Granger there. Anyone that does it. Let's put a annex of Great Basin Community College, or even CSN, or a school that teaches trades, and let's put it there, and let's have the students learning welding, construction, carpentry, all of it, 100% of it. Let's have them take field trips by walking down American Dream Way to the cat dealership to look at the equipment they're going to be using to pave the next generation, for the next generation of Pahrump, to pave for the next generation of Las Vegas. Let's put a lumber yard out on American Dream Way. Let's put it there so that Clark County has to buy the equipment and has to buy the lumber and the raw materials to do all of their, repaving and do all of their work from the lumber yard in Pahrump. Let's make it work, right? One of my dreams also, if we have the opportunity to touch zoning, to touch government incentives, let's make this the epicenter of cognitive remediation. Let's make this the epicenter of turning every human being born alive, currently breathing today, on this day, to give them the promise that they're going to die with an IQ of 170 one day, that they're not going to die being a slave, that they're not going to die being an underling their whole lives, knowing what we know. There was a religious cult by Rael, the Raeliens, and these people, they talked about something called a geneocracy. They've been criticized quite heavily by folks that have a problem with cults, but Rael, they had a lot of spiritual healing, a lot of meditation-related retreats, and their ideas about aliens and their ideas about a spacecraft circling the Earth. And don't quote me on this. Not only am I not a professor of religion, but I'm not particularly an expert on that sect or that cult, whatever you want to call it. But there were spacecraft circling the Earth, this dream that they are giving us eternity by recording our consciousness into these spacecraft. And I understand that. These people that are highly enlightened, they dream of having high IQs, they dream of being geniuses, and I think that every day they are faced with the reality of them not being a medical doctor, and not only not being a medical doctor, but come on, general practitioner versus surgeon, You're driving down the highway 160, take a look at all those billboards. Oh boy, look up there to the left, he's in a suit. There he is, Mr. Surgeon himself, with just that great, amazing face, and it's like, oh boy, he's talking about bariatric surgery. It's like, you need to lose weight, and I'm thinking to myself, cool beans. I'm glad maybe you can help me, but let's start with making everyone intelligent enough to learn the organic chemistry, to learn the biochemistry, to learn everything about physics, to learn it, to become themselves medical doctors. Let's talk about that first, because yeah, health is important, but before you start stitching my stomach up to make me look like George Clooney, I already look like George Clooney, to make me look even more like a skinny George. And by the way, just like Keith Olbermann, I bet you he's fat underneath his blazer, underneath his suit. George Clooney, he's fat. He's just like Keith Olbermann, plain and simple. You look at Keith Olbermann, it's a nightmare, and I'm glad Katie Tur is okay with it. Glad she's okay with it. Any event, that's the whole thing with it. Let's make everyone a medical doctor. Let's make everyone a lawyer. Now that's a whole nother level. These are scam artists, completely 100%. But you got to give them credit. They make a lot of money, and the logic that they use, their knowledge of philosophy, their ability to apply symbolic reasoning and analyzing text. And by the way, a lot of them also, they've got degrees in English. That's where they start, because they can pick apart. They use literary analysis. They look at stories and they make arguments based on those, just like people that study English and just end at the bachelor's degree. And I think I got to give them a lot of credit, because you start with complete BS and you can make an argument for anything. And in the world of being a lawyer, sometimes you're on sides you never thought you'd be on before, right? And you have to, even if you're into victims, sometimes you're going to be defending someone that, of course, is innocent until proven guilty, but that plain and simple, pretty clear, that's the perpetrator. But if you're an indigent defense attorney, so you got to do public defender kind of stuff, and you're on the other side of it. You got to understand all sides of it. That's the beautiful thing of it. But again, to be able to do that kind of thinking, to be able to think on your feet the way a defense attorney would, you have all these Johnny Cochran, and it's like, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit kind of stuff. And it's like, to be able to do that, let's be 100% honest. These people are full of it. But to be able to think like them, to be able to think on your feet like them, it takes a lot of intelligence. It takes a certain kind of intelligence. They're not medical doctors. But imagine if everyone had the intelligence to be a medical doctor. Think about that for a second. Would you need as many attorneys in the world defending people that a lot of times, beat up their wife, or a lot of times, committed a murder, right? I mean, it's just, frankly, a murder, it happens. I shot someone, crime of passion, or even premeditated, because they couldn't find the words to say, I love you. Because their IQ score was so low, they couldn't find the words, the right words, whatever those words are. I don't know what those words are either, but you see some beautiful hat, dress, she's clearly from a well-to-do family, or she's a well-to-do person. It's like, well, you want nothing to do with it because I'm homeless and I smell like piss, and I just got off the RTC bus in Las Vegas and I smell like piss. That's not my fault that I don't have a net worth of $2 million or $3 million. It's not my fault I can't work and I have an IQ score that's too low. Honestly, I'd like to take you to dinner tonight. And sadly, I kind of know the steakhouses here. Been in Vegas my whole life. In fact, when I had the opportunity, and before my mind became even more ravaged by rejection and loneliness, I was here so long, I saw the Rat Pack. I was here so long, I saw Frankie Valli perform quite frequently in my role as an usher, and even thereafter. Hearing him sing those classic songs. That latest one that had a kind of a disco feel to it, but it still had that classic Frankie Valli. And of course, can't take my eyes off of you. You're just too good to be true. You'd be like heaven to touch. And sitting there with the spotlights shining over my head on Frankie Valli and his Four Seasons, and still having that hope alive of leaving that theater and with those songs still fresh on my mind, meeting you when I was young.
Quest for cosmic justice. It's like, you're so clever, cosmic straw man. I love logic. I love logic. Anyway, that's all. Deal with it. Thomas Sowell. Let's take a look at this guy here. Lawyers. Don't you love the lawyers? All right. Let's write a book, guys. Let's write a book about it. I'm glad you're with Stormy now. Glad you're having a good time. Have fun with that. You'll always love you. Okay. At the 1 minute mark. Let's see here. Oh yeah, so Raeliens, right? These people, the spaceship going around the Earth, sucking our consciousness in, recording it, so that because by the way, the beautiful thing about religion, that's why it matters. It's the quest for the eternal. It's the quest for eternity. Silencio, amigo Sancho, shut up now, because I'm gonna chase windmills, because I'm going to fight for the fountain of youth. I'm going to find it and I'm going to drink from it. It's Don Quixote, right? Shut up, amigo Sancho. We're going to do it. We're going to chase the windmills. We're going to conquer the windmills. We're going to bring down the dragons. We're going to do it. We're going to do it no matter what. We're going to do it for you, all of you. But, we don't want to die. Steve Jobs said in that epic, amazing speech to Stanford graduates in 2005 that everybody thinks about. And so I think, as a culture, we've forgotten about some of these beautiful words from people like that people want to get to heaven, they don't want to die to get there. And even the people that want to go to heaven, they don't want to die to get there. And if there's a lot of ways to live forever. What does it mean to have this body? What does it mean to be here, not only be sentient, but to be sapient? The definition of what it means to be human, Homo sapien. So there's this hope that one day we will see through the eyes of that surgeon with the billboard. There's hope that one day we will be able to perform the operation, or at the very least, be the one defending the indigent, not the indigent being defended, for better or worse. Right? So that's what serves as the impetus for needing eternity in that religion, is that one day we will not be an idiot. We'll be a member of the Geneocracy, and that's why I brought up Raelienism, or Raeliens, is because that's the book by Rael, Geneocracy. In fact, there's a picture of Einstein on the front of it. Now, you can call it hoo-hoo, ha-ha religion if you want. You can call it a cult if you want to, but what an idea that the world should be run by geniuses, not politicians, not president of the United States, not president of Mexico, not county commissioners in Nye County and Clark County, but frankly by geniuses. Isn't that the way the world should be? I think so, right? But here's what's forgotten in that. And in fact, I think Rael, it's been a long time since I read that book or excerpts of it. But if you look at his words himself, he probably made incredibly brilliant reference to the fact that absolutely these geniuses in the very end would want to share their gift of 200 IQ, of 170, 180, 190, 200, high IQ, Einstein level IQ, that the real geniuses of the world, these are not the people that want to hide the gifts they're given. These are the people that are working day in and day out to make Pahrump, Nevada, here in Nye County, a place where there's these studies, where we can go in and become guinea pigs, to become the surgeon instead of get the surgery, to become the lawyer instead of need the lawyer, kind of stuff. So that's my big dream for it. And these are people that absolutely. By the way, between you and I, speaking of construction, welding, we all know about Tesla, self-driving cars. I mean, I've talked about this before. These cat, there's a reason why Bill Gates invested so much. I don't want to scare people. I don't want to put out misinformation, but why did Bill Gates invest so much in Caterpillar? Why are these big names? Well, let's think, it has to do with AI, it has to do with robotics. Basically, you see all these people still using hammers, sledgehammers, and nailing the shingles onto roofs. You still see people raising the frames of houses. Quite frankly, it's already at that point. Really, it's just regulations and DMVs across the country, and just a few little things that have to be done here and there with self-driving vehicles and all of that. But homes that these Caterpillar tractors, they can drive themselves. It's 100% there. We're already there. Caterpillar tractors driving themselves. Roads, we don't need someone driving the steamroller to put down the asphalt anymore. You need a road repaved. Boom, Caterpillar comes or John Deere comes. Asphalt is put down by automated machine. Steamroller comes over it. It's all computers do 100% of it. We know that's possible. We know it's possible. Humans are being phased out in that regard, and it's something we do have to think about. So the really, yeah, absolutely. For now, let's build American Dream Way, because in a few generations we're not going to be able to be the father, bring our son to the construction site, or our daughter even, to the construction site and say, is this what you want to do with your future? And if my son or daughter says yes, well, I couldn't be any prouder in the world of someone that wants to be the one driving the steamroller, putting down the asphalt, repaving the world, or putting up the frames of a house. There's nothing more a dad could ask for than his child wanting to follow in his footsteps. And speaking of construction sites, I've been through many of them. In fact, in Mountain Falls and in Burson Ranch in Pahrump, Nevada, where Pahrump is paradise, as you all know. Active construction sites, Pleasant Valley, just down what I call the Manse corridor, at the borderline between 89061 and 89048, just past that borderline into the 8904 zip code. You've got Pleasant Valley, Lennar putting up homes there just as they are in Artesia at Hafen Ranch. And what an amazing experience to go through there and see construction happening all around. It's happening a lot in Vegas. It's happening all around southern Nevada, not only in these rural outposts, but in Metro Vegas and in Centennial, and in you get Inspirata and in Cadence. It's just happening all around. But you go to these places and you pass by these construction workers, and it's like they've got their arms extended to the sky, like I was saying. They're putting up a building, and in a few generations, we are not going to be able, to find a generation. We're talking a couple of decades to be able to tell our son or daughter that this is a legitimate way to move forward. I think, because we'd be depriving them of something much bigger by lying to them and saying that self-driven tractors and self-driven robots can't build the house. So at the end of the day, what are our children and grandchildren going to be doing? What is it right to tell them? As people guiding them and entrusted with guiding them, they should do with their life. Well, they should be lawyers. They should be doctors. And at a point where hopefully society has progressed to an extent where we don't need lawyers and we don't need doctors, because health has improved to a certain extent, and computers can make the treatment plans better. We don't need lawyers because all of a sudden we have no reason to kill our brother. And why would we want to leave our brother behind when we don't need to? We don't have to, lie to ourselves about when all of a sudden, all men are created equal, endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights, among them life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. All of a sudden, isn't this thing we wish were true that is a lie? That we have to not look at certain things to continue to believe, and that we have to make up, all of us make up intellectually contorted arguments to believe, even though we look all around us and there is so much proof that it's a lie. But do we want it to be a lie? We're going to have to make sure that our kids know bivalent logic, know 19 rules of inference, know philosophy, have the intelligence to be defense attorneys, have the intelligence to be medical doctors and surgeons, even if as technology has progressed to a point where they no longer have to do it. So that's what we need to focus on. And hopefully, if we believe in it strongly enough, the gift that will be given our children and grandchildren is going to spill over into this generation too. That's my hope. That's my belief, that before I die, before I take my final breath, I'm going to be able to see the world through the eyes of Einstein. Okay, and that's what you should think about too, given these things. So we're going to be outside in a little bit. In fact, in Pahrump, doing a little bit in Vegas. So if you like my real estate videos, there's going to be tons of it. We had to talk about this. We had to talk about this today because America needs it, I think, more than anything else.